Hello everyone, and welcome to the last video of our monthly broadcast series covering the news and activities in the GameGuru community. As you may know, we have been running a regular cadence of development vlogs, live broadcasts and news updates since long before the original GameGuru Classic was released over 10 years ago. And we have covered a lot of game making ground in that time. As our latest game maker settles down to fixing the last few bugs, we are now transitioning into a maintenance phase with regular quarterly updates for GameGuru Classic, GameGuru Max and App GameKit Studio. This will ensure your chosen tool remains bug-free and ready to deploy your game ideas into the real world. From April, we will be changing the format of our YouTube channel releases to include content that is more feature-focused, creating and releasing videos when there is something notable to reveal, both from third parties and our own stable. We will also be hosting 2 live broadcasts per year, one in June and one in December. And these live broadcasts will include an extended Q&A where you can chat and ask questions about all our game makers. Without further ado, let's get into a live Q&A. Now, I'm not expecting, I've actually called this the extended Q&A, but I'm looking at the viewers who've tuned in at 7 PM GMT on the last Saturday of March. And this is going to be a very short Q&A, people, but I'll be here as long as there are questions to answer. As I did with my very first live broadcast, when we started calling them live broadcasts, I started off nearly always, the first, say, 50 broadcasts was a sound check. I do that because I finally learned a little bit more about the OBS streaming software and figured out how to get the chat window all set up before the broadcast was streamed. So it means you're not seeing me faff around trying to resize a window. And I'm hoping that works. It looks like it's working, but usually when you make one thing work, 3 other things break. I've got my audio, it looks right. I'm just out underneath the red zone, so you should get some good volume. And I'm now going to switch over to an off-screen chat window so I can see a larger view of the window. And if you can hear me, I'm just moving my Commodore 64 coffee mug out the way. It's blocking the chat on the second monitor. Okay, just to assume, because in another live broadcast I was actually reading a different chat window. So it's the same broadcast, same chat window. So I just want to confirm we are indeed in the room with myself, Lee Bamber, from TGC, and Paul Walker, and Duke229, and Paul Walker, and Duke229. So that's it. If anyone else is in the room, just say hi, just so we know who's here. And what happens when there's less than 10 people, and believe you me, I've done many presentations in conferences where the room was less than 10 people, and what it means is you get a lot of quality. Everyone gets to ask 7 questions, everyone gets 7 answers, so there's probably an opportunity here, people. Beats by Dank says hi, so I'm going to spend a couple of minutes just checking everything over, but it looks like you can hear me fine, no volume issues, and that's great. That means we're off to the races, as it were. Terminally single, beta male, hi. You know, I feel like a YouTuber reading out the chat right away, but you've noticed the format that I'm kind of going for. Yes, we are returning to live broadcasts. We tried an experiment where we could summarize and edit, proofread, pre-record, iterate, and get a nice summary monthly video to tell you all the thing that's going on in GameGuru Max land. Unfortunately, we kind of ran out of news, so the updates were like 3 minutes long. So, compared to the 1 hour broadcasts you were used to, bit of a shock to the system, I agree. So as you heard earlier, and that was a pre-record, wanted to make sure that the script was right, and then there was lots of nots and ums and ahs and get my message across. But the live broadcast will be bi-yearly, if that's the right word. One in June, one in December. They'll both be extended Q&As, so little bit of preamble at the start, if any, and then straight into Q&A. And all the usual rules will apply. I can sit here, I can demonstrate within the software, like so. And we'll also be extending it to GameGuru Classic as well. That community goes from strength to strength. It is probably the only game maker where we can confidently say we fix all the bugs down to 0 every 3 months. There's always going to be bugs in software, but usually you're chasing the bugs out to the edges. We call them edge cases. Eventually, the bug is so difficult to reproduce, it may not even be worth fixing, because no one's going to know you fixed it. And GameGuru Classic's in a good place right now for that. Max is hot on its heels. We're down to 29 bugs. That's 4 bugs off a 1-page GitHub repo issues board. If you hear some squeaking in the background, that's my pet dog, Jack, who wants to go for a walk, and he's going to have to wait. And he's persistent, so don't worry if you hear there's some sort of broken wheel going on. It's just him trying to get my attention. As I said, same format for the Q&As we've done previously. If you do have questions, it's you can write in capitals question followed by the question, put a question mark at the beginning or at the end, simply so when I scroll through the chat sometime in the next couple of minutes, I can quickly get to the questions. But because this is a more relaxed extended Q&A, I'll probably read the comments as well as I go through. It looks like there's about 2 pages as it appears on my scrolly, and just going to see if there's anyone else in the room. I think we're here. This is a group of 4, I think. But don't worry, anyone who's watching this much later on YouTube land and saying, "Oh, come on, Lee, that was a bit of a dark one." You do 2-3 minute monthly videos and then you hit us with a surprise live broadcast. Yes, that's right. We want to go for quality, not quantity. And please don't ask me when is multiplayer going to be added. I think everyone here knows that's the deal. Okay, so I think that's me waffling on long enough. Of course, if you've got any questions, please ask them, and I'll attempt to answer them. It could be related to our YouTube channel plans going forward, about any of the softwares, bug fixes, features, third-party contributions, DLC, you name it. I am here to help. So I'm going to scroll back up to the top, get some chronology going. And as I said, oh, where's me? There it is. So yeah, we're going to budget this for about an hour. So after an hour, I'm going to make my excuses and leave. So that's 50 minutes. I don't think we're going to use 50 minutes up, really. I mean, we could do, but it'll be one long and rather boring YouTube channel video towards the end. So we'll guard ourselves against that, make sure that this content stays full of information. So yeah, I am good. Yes, thank you very much for asking. So, oh, we look like we've got a GameGuru official coming in. I said there's 4, there's actually 5. One of them is sort of, I don't know who it is, some TGC type floating in. So we're going to be looked at by higher powers, so I gotta watch my language. Okay, so some question marks. I think the first question mark probably related not to my current state is from Paul Walker, which is highly high. Is it possible to increase the amount of bones allowed in GG Max template rig? Now, this would allow for clothing, wigs, tails, etc. to be added to CC parts. There are no plans to increase the bone count allowed in GG Max template rig, and I'll tell you why. Let me just let go of the leftmost button. Maybe it'll stay there and not push me to the end. The reason is shaders, the shaders that animate the geometry, it's quite a performant one, quite fast. Thing is though, we only have 4 bones per vertex, so bone weights per vertex. You can have lots and lots of bones, but you can only have up to 4 bone influences for every 1 dot, for every 1 vertex on that geometry. And when you have something like 65, 70, 80 bones, that's fine. That's kind of what you're influencing anyway. So you start throwing in like 350 bones, so eyelashes have their own bones. A geometry vertex is going to be super influenced by 12, 15 different bones, and our shader doesn't do that. We're not rewriting the shader, we're not enhancing the shader. And for games, at least games from taking one of the Steam reviews 10 years ago, 65 bones was quite plenty to get your character running around and doing stuff. If you did want, say, a character that could support 300 bones with up to, say, 16 bone weights per vertex, you'll have to go into the GitHub repository. We have 2. We've got the main GameGuru batch repository source code. We've also got the Wicked engine repository that we use. Go into the Wicked first and extend that version of the source code to support the 16 bone weights, stage 1. Once you've done that, then you've got to go into the GameGuru Max one and make sure that you can import lots and lots of bones and make sure the weights properly proportioned. What I'm kind of saying is the source code's there. If you want to have a go at extending the capability of the bone rig system for GameGuru Max, it is doable. You can actually go in, create a new shader or enhance the existing one, add some extra code, make sure all the data comes through, make sure the shader runs on that new data, and your character will be doing lots of bone related somersaults all over the place. So it is doable, but you're going to have to roll your sleeves up and get into some good old C++. And it looks like the scroll chat window stayed where it was. Great, because then I don't have to keep holding this left button down. Paul Walker asks, is it capped at 60 bones? It could be more. 60 bones was ages ago. I think when I was playing around with more recent animation stuff, I remember seeing like 84 bones. See, bone count itself isn't really the limit. Like I said, it's the how many bones influence a particular vertex. That's the bottleneck. That's the limit we ought to work with. If there is like an overall bone count, it's probably some hard-coded limit. So if you do manage to find that, yeah, then that's something you can look at, go through the source code, find that hard limit, increase that number, hopefully nothing else breaks, and now you can do better. More fidelity, say, more fidelity characters. Okay, moving on to the next one. And this is from Duke229. Haley, I am still holding the GG Classic flag high. You certainly are. Duke229, hated Max. Moved to Max, liked it for a bit, didn't like it very much, and then moved back to Classic. Like, everyone has their favourite tools. I've never, ever, ever said GameGuru Max is going to replace all the other game makers and that's the end of it. No, absolutely not. There's so many ways to make games these days, so many tools to choose from. Who are we to say which tool you should and shouldn't use? You could use everything. You could use a pen and paper as a basic tool, all the way through to writing in assembly if you want to go really low, and then everything in between. GameGuru Classic and GameGuru Max really just let you get on and create stuff a little quicker than if you had to create all the art yourself and write all the code yourself and write an entire game engine from scratch. It just skips a couple of the steps and lets you get on and create interesting alternative realities. Paul Walker asks a question in lowercase. Will there be any update to the physics capabilities of the engine, clothing physics, player physics? There are no plans There are no plans to update the physics capabilities of the engine. There are no plans to add cloth physics or additional player physics to the engine. The reason I say that, I will preface all requests with that, because right now we're in a let's fix all the bugs mood. We want to fix all the bugs. And when we've fixed all the bugs, we're going to fix all the bugs that come in after that. And after that, and after that. There's always going to be enough reports that lend themselves to stability, compatibility, performance, the basic things that you want your game to do before it's viable to sell. These are basic things, and I don't think we've seen the end of that particular script. So as I said, we've got 29 what I would call extant. I can still look at them and maybe fix them or ask for more information. That is not the total number. Outside of the 29 are all the bugs that we're still waiting for more information, or clearly aren't bugs, but the author hasn't decided to reply, or they're out and out feature requests. And then there's a nice conversation about what is a feature and what isn't a feature. What is a bug come functionality improvement and what isn't. And those are outside of that 29 count. But I'm using the 29 count to make sure that it's like, you know the expression, the ball's in your side of the court? I've got 29 tennis balls on my side at the moment, and my goal is to bat them all over the net. And as I said, they'll come back. So we've still got this to and fro until we get to a point of what I would call relatively calm equilibrium, where the bugs again are few and far between. So yeah, I'm not being childish when I keep prefacing with there are no plans to. I just want to make it official, so there isn't any raised expectation whilst we're fixing all these bugs. And there aren't that many bugs, to be honest. Okay, here's a question from Terminally Single Beta Male. Can I make robotic characters in the character creator? Out of the box, no. You can create adult male, adult female, zombie male, low poly. Those are the 5 what I would call base types of characters that you can make in the character creator. The low poly one started its life as a customizable. It came in like, I added the support, we added the support so you could add your own character creator body parts, so your own base type basically. And that's how the low poly one got started. And of course it became an official one when we had a lot of low poly DLC to push out. And so it's sort of stuck and stayed. There's no reason, and there's a guide actually in the guides folder in GameGuru Max, where you can create another folder, call it what you want, call it robotic, robots, whatever. Then inside there, follow the guide, fill it up with all the body parts, then go into the character creator, select that base type, and start assembling your robot. It's documented. If you're a technical artist and you create all the art, you can actually create that. So yeah, it supports it, but we haven't done any assets. We haven't done any robots. But there is a guide that shows you how to build that yourself, in the same way that a third party built all the low poly stuff that then became a base type. And yeah, this is obviously a show and tell, and I can actually show you this tell. So if I go into this, was what I was working on last. Doesn't really matter where I end up. Maybe this one. Yeah, this was a test. Dash. Is it Dash, this one? No. Hunchback and Dash movement profiles for zombies. They would just stand there looking like idiots. Lollipops. So that bug's been fixed, so now he'll dash and he'll hunchback at you, and then when they get near enough, they try and bite a bit of your head off. But that's not what we're here for. Well, let's show you, anyone who's here for the first time or watching for the first time, you can go into the character creator from the file menu. You can also access it from the add menu. This is a lovely male soldier, and if we go to down low poly, this was done by a third party. This was sort of assembled, folder created, all the bits thrown in. As you can see, you've got lots of different heads you can choose from. Like a crazy looking thing. Maybe you got that. Maybe something a bit like this. And some legs. What legs have we got? Nice beefy pants. I think those are the samurai pants. Some black shoes. Oh, some little shoes, some big shoes. There you go. That's cool. Yeah, it's effectively. It looks a bit mad. Yeah, you should be able to create your own robotic base type, which is this. So it'd be like da 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 da, and then you'll see your robotic male, robotic female, or you could just have robotic, and then you could just throw everything in, male, female, all jumbled together if you like. And of course we've got some really cool futuristic. That backdrop was done by a third party, and again, the format is known. You can just follow the format rules. You can create your own rooms. So you can have your own room whilst you're assembling your character. So we've really opened it up. You have to be kind of a technical artist on the asset side, and have a little bit of savvy when it comes to, say, scripting, coding, if you want to go in and then add things to the UI. But it's all available on GitHub as source code. So there isn't really that much to stop you if you really wanted to do it. Okay, and I'll just read through. I mean, you know, we got time. You can, but there are currently restrictions by using human animations. They are stock in the engine. Yeah, there's a lot of restrictions with animations. Be thankful they work at all. There are so many formats out there. And then on top of that, the variations of those formats, and then different animation tools add the animation to that file format in slightly different ways. The fact that they can come in as some sort of homogeneous data, that they can tie into someone else's shader, and then our game engine to run it all, and then actually coordinate all them animations and make sure they blend nicely from one to another, all controlled by a lower script. That's when your head starts to melt. So the fact animation works at all is rather nice. But yeah, it's like if you just went to something like iClone, character exchange, I don't know what it's called these days, and just grab some like monster 500,000 character and million bones and just try to drag it into GameGuru Max, it won't work. It won't work. Someone would have to have gone through that pipeline meticulously and made 1,000,000 compromises to get A into B, and that's always going to be the case, especially as those original creation tools get more sophisticated. As characters are going to have 1,000,000 polygons and are going to have 50,000 bones. Every bone in the human body reproduced inside a 3D model. It's not a question of if, it's a question of when. Okay, another question. This is from, let's just call him Terminally. How do I change the look to robotic? I can't answer that today in this live chat. What I will say is go to the guides folder. So go into help, and it's somewhere there. Select this one, guides folder. Once you're in there, look for character creator. Read the document. Your journey begins. If you need help, go onto the Discord channel, GameGuru Max. Lots of lovely people there who will be happy to help. They have a lot of combined experience and know-how, and so they'll be able to get you started if you are so willing. Okay, but Classic is just a way... Oh, I did that. But Classic is just way better for the stuff I need. Vegetation. Oh, sorry. I have accidentally skipped forward. I'm going to join in the conversation. Okay. Gosh, I missed a bit. I have to go back that far, do I? There I am. Hi, Duke. Conversation. 10 people! 10 people! Wow. I think I can retire and become a YouTube star. Thanks for the head count, Paul. I don't think we're going to set the world on fire, but still. It's good stuff. Like I said, it's quality stuff. It's quality stuff. Okay, so here's another question, I think. Would anyone here like to collaborate with some random weirdo? Hey, we're all random weirdos in the GameGuru community. No, I don't mean that. I can only count for present company. And yeah, I think weirdos are cool. Okay, question. Any news on a potential nav mesh brush to paint nav meshes? There are no plans to create a potential nav mesh brush to paint nav meshes. Right now, nav meshes in the game engine is completely automated. If I just ignore that, obviously I'm going to get away from these zombies a bit, run the game. Ugh, just following me. That's his dash. You've noticed that when I press that button, then you see the line there. That's a nav mesh. You can follow a nav mesh. You see the little square, that's darker yellow and that's lighter yellow. That's the boundary of this little play area. And it's completely automatically generated, and it's clever enough that it can actually put the nav mesh on top of undulations in the terrain. You can put like ladders and platforms and multiple storied buildings. It calculates the nav mesh. Now the question, what it's fishing for, is nav mesh can go a lot further than that. You can edit nav meshes. You can say at this point in the nav mesh you can leap across a gorge. At this point of the nav mesh you can jump through a window. At this point of the nav mesh you can do XYZ. Or I don't want anyone to walk on this area for whatever artistic reason, so you can delete bits of nav mesh. All of that is doable in the grown-up pants tools such as Unity and Unreal, but there isn't any nav mesh editing capabilities in GameGuru Max. Mantra is just make it a touch easier, and the easiest way to make it easier is to make it completely automatic. The good news is it's pretty clever. We didn't write it. It's Recast Detour. If you look that up, it's a pretty good, used by a lot of people, or used to be used by a lot of people, and it's been tried and tested. So it's a good automatic way to make sure that it can automatically calculate on which surfaces characters and animals can walk. So another disappointing answer for you, Paul. Okay, so here's a question from Terminally. Can we just call him Term? Hey Term, do you have plans to upgrade the Wicked Engine version? There are no plans to upgrade the Wicked Engine version. The version we're using was nearly the last one that supported DirectX 11. And then we continued to work on it ourselves and tweaked it over the years. So we're pretty tied to that version of the Wicked Engine, the DirectX 11 one, because we are a DirectX 11 engine. When we spent 6 months as a research project to graft in the latest Wicked Engine that run under DX12. Not only DX12, but the I think it was the Vulkan support as well. And 70% worked great. It was just a swap out. It was a lot of refactoring. That wasn't pleasant. But yeah, it up and running. The only problem is the bits we wrote, not Wicked, was the procedural terrain system that goes on forever, the tree system, and the vegetation system, and a few other rendering bits and bobs. They would not work under DirectX 12. It meant we had to basically throw it all away and just use the Wicked Engine's terrain system, grass system, tree system, etc. Or try and find a way to write our own shaders again, but under the new sort of umbrella of the DirectX 12 architecture. And after 6 months of that, it was like, let's just finish the DirectX 11 version. So we had to step back because there was bugs to be fixed, there was features to finish. We needed to get this product to a point where we can make a game and sell it. We can't do that if we spend another year faffing around in DirectX 12 land. So that's why, and that's where we are right now. We're basically glued all the way up to from top to tail to the old Wicked Engine DirectX 11 version. And that's why you're not seeing DirectX 12, and that's why you're not seeing all the really nice things coming out of the Wicked Engine stable appearing in Max. There's now a massive gulf between the Wicked we use and the latest Wicked. And the latest Wicked, oh, it's really wicked. You have to check it out. If you're interested in writing a game completely from scratch, maybe using Lua, go check out the Wicked Engine. It does a lot of cool things now. And it's basically been created by someone who's beyond good at graphics engines. So it's doing everything you want it to do from a graphics point of view. So I think there's a Yeah, there's a Patreon page. Just tap out Wicked Engine Patreon. It'll take you straight there. Okay, looking for a question. First question from Beats by Dank. Hi Lee, any plans to make it simpler to import models that will use default GameGuru Max animations? Yeah, that's a toughie, isn't it? I know what you mean. You've got some characters, maybe you bought them from what used to be Turbo Squid or more modern asset stores, but they're like they're grey, and you can even import them, and there's the animation and standing in your GameGuru Max level. But they won't use all of the animations that you've got because it's a different rig. And the way you solve it, the way 3D artists solve it, is they basically do some they like transfer. They put the left and the right side up with the character you want to import and the rig for GameGuru Max. And they basically fuse all of the data from one to the other. Once that character is now using the GameGuru Max rig, then you can animate that GameGuru Max rig with all the animations that you've got. So it isn't really it could be an engine thing, but really, traditionally, it's a 3D artist thing. So find yourself a 3D artist who knows this stuff, give them your model that you want to import, have them graft it into a GameGuru Max rig, and then you can do what you want to do. But no, the engine does not that out the box, because it's extraordinarily difficult to anticipate the 250 slightly different formats that come in initially as an import prospect. And we're not in the business of writing 250 slightly different conversion protocols, thank you very much. Even if you guys can create a tool that can be sold as a DLC. Yeah, that backfired on us a couple of years ago. We tried to sell the ability to create and edit particles, and there was an uproar. So we tend not to sell functionality anymore. People are pretty happy with buying extra models and scenery and sounds and all that kind of stuff to make more interesting and varied games. But we try and sell you a button, we're going to get shot at. so yeah, a tool probably won't be a DLC, so we don't get into trouble again from the community. Okay, questions. Okay, so Duke229 says he actually does quite like Max. I guess maybe we've been improving it from its early version to today. Classic just way better for the stuff I need, like vegetation, outdoor areas. And also Duke229 was a maestro back in the day. When GameGuru Classic was first out, Duke229 did a lot of really great things. Really pushed the engine to breaking point to create the best, nicest game experiences. And I can see why you like Classic, because you know every bit of it. You know, every corner has been explored. So yeah, that's absolutely fine. Okay, Extreme Strategy has shown up. Extreme Strategy has entered the building. So is that number 11? Do we have 11 now, Paul? Okay. Hi Lee, since you've been doing so long, I have to make sure you get the mandatory questions. Go on, do it. When is third person? When is multiplayer? When will vehicles be added? When can Max make my coffee? That's a new one. Okay, let's just do the obligatory answer. There are no plans to add third person, multiplayer or vehicles to the stock version of GameGuru Max. However, we are adding a button which makes your coffee for you. So watch out for that in the near future. Brackets, if you thought I was serious then, please know that I wasn't. Close brackets. And another new entrance to the room. I tell you what, my presentation room is filling up nice and fast. Thank you very much. I guess the word's got around, and now people are sort of running into the room before it ends. So all is welcome. Okay, so Mr. Vi. Finally, a live stream. 3 exclamation marks. You know, 3 exclamation marks is a first sign of madness. You can have 2 exclamation marks and that is it. 3 is it's next level. It's next level. Okay, and Craven, you've arrived as well. Glad to see Lee back in the house. Paul Walker has a question. Will the player template be fixed so we can create our own custom player arms? Please. At present, it's not compatible with Macs. What's not compatible with Macs? We actually have a guide on how to create arms and weapons, projectile and melee, for the new weapon system. In fact, the new weapon system has been designed modular, so you can create your own arms and your own textures for those arms, and weapons to go in the arms, and weapons that can be seen in the NPCs, so characters can run around with those weapons. Once the characters have the arms, but yeah, we've already cracked that particular nut. There's a lot of third-party artists knocking out all kinds of bits and pieces for the new weapon system. I suppose then, Paul, you found a bug. That's why you got please in there twice. So if it is a bug, can you post it on the issues board and then send me a link at lee@thegamecreators.com? Because we are in the business of fixing bugs right now, and if you think you can knock out some new player arms for your own game or for the community, that's a big win for everyone. Okay, question from Duke229. Have you ever created a game with your own engines? Or do you want to do that someday? Yeah, in the early days, yes. When I created... try and think, it was the Commodore 64 or the Amiga. Could be either. The early stuff. This is like 1995 to 1985. Strike that, reverse it. Because there was like there weren't any tools. There was nothing off-the-shelf tools. I had to write my own. Back then you'd call them editors, but today you'd call them game-making tools. And you had to create all the editors yourself. So the level editors, the character editors, the art packages that create the characters that you see on the screen, the sound effects, you had to edit those yourself. Eventually, latter end of Commodore 64 and certainly Amiga, tools started to show up to make that process easier. But yeah, in the early days, write the tool first. It's like writing GameGuru Max just so you can write a game. It was that kind of territory. Do you want to do that someday? What, write a game? Sure, absolutely. Unfortunately, every time I think, okay, now it's time to write a game, there's always another 5 bugs to fix or another 2 features to add. So maybe I've just found my calling. I'll just add all of the functionality and I'll let everyone else make the games. And having seen some of the games that have been worked on over the years in our community, and more recently in the last 1 or 2 years on the work in progress on Discord, maybe I shouldn't write any games because I wouldn't stand a chance against what I'm seeing. So maybe everyone to their calling, right? So you all make games and I'll just provide the tools. How's that? So Paul's count's gone up to 17 people. Excellent. It's when it falls to 16 that we know we've started boring everyone. And do fear level AI and navigation. There are no plans to recreate the AI and navigation systems from the game Fear. Alas, that was a great game and awesome. Accolade-winning AI in there and an awesome team. I don't have that kind of game AI team working on GameGuru Max, so unfortunately you're not really going to get that. But you're quite welcome to try it yourself. I'm sure there's a lot of white papers and post-mortems on the Fear development process, and the source code's available, so maybe you can put the two together, make something awesome. Okay, Craven Guru asks, Lee, would you ever consider taking commissions where a community member could pay TGC a set fee to implement a single specific feature they need for their game for the next update? No. Sounds mad, doesn't it, turning away perfectly good cash? But we've been in business a long time, 1999 and onwards, and over those years we have actually multiple times gone into, the official term is called work for hire. So you have a very specific goal. You develop this thing, and then you get paid for it. And the thing you develop is never quite what was originally wanted, and it goes on and on and on. It keeps changing. It's moving target territory, continual iterations. I think the last working contract, which we thought might take about 6 months, went on for about 3 years. It's that kind of thing. There's never a way to fully meet an expectation. But I know what you mean. It would be nice, wouldn't it? If like, look, I've got some money, I want this feature, I don't know how to create this feature, but you do. So what will it take for you to sit down and write this feature for me? It's not because I'm unwilling, it's just there's a lot of work going on, and you know, it's just there's no time left to take that on. Now that's just me, that's just Lee. There's absolutely no reason why you can't go out there into the community and find someone else with my kind of skill set, who thoroughly understands the GitHub repository source code, who can do C++, can do Lua, can do all the games and graphics engine things. Look at Preben, for example, Plemsoft, and I've got a Patreon page full of cool things. Better than me at GameGuru Max, right? So that's the guy you want to give a commission to, because he'll actually do it better than me in half the time. So yeah, it's a good idea, and I think don't just give up. See if there's anyone out there who can take on that, and if the price is right and the job is well described, then it could very well work. Just make sure expectations are managed, both the person who wants a thing and a feature, make sure it's thoroughly described, and then have whoever you find to develop it for you read it back to you, so they can manage those expectations, and so the price will be right. But I digress. Maybe this is something we talk about in the future in the live broadcast in June and December this year. If you want to talk about that, like I said, those Q&As aren't really just about GameGuru Max at that point. It could be classic, it could even be App GameKit Studio, or it could just be about the games industry and the business of the games industry, if you're interested. I have a lot of knowledge rattling around up here, and it's probably a good idea to put it out here in video content form before I forget it all and go a bit loopy. And if you hear that other noise, that's not a dog, that's a cat. Now the cat doesn't want to walk, but the cat is continually hungry. And every time I put something in the bowl, she doesn't like it, and then she wants something else. And all the while, she'll just meow at me. So if you hear a meow, it's the other animal. Okay, getting back to tech. ARMS template doesn't work. There is an issue with the twist, the rigs, and 2-axis when importing. Yeah, it sounds like a bug, or need a bit of a fudge fix on the model import side. And we have a lot of tech artists out there who have probably solved nearly all of these things. And so maybe we just bolster the guide, or fix a file, or maybe fix a bug inside the engine as it's importing stuff. So yeah, if you can get me that issue board link, I can then make a priority of it, or at least assign a priority to it. It is a bug, and there's only 29 left, so it's a pretty good chance. Cyrus Soft says that was unexpected. Yep, did it on purpose. Duke229, Lee, I think you should make a stream once a year where you play GameGuru Classic and Max games. Yeah, I know. Lee the YouTuber. Nah. No, I'm not PewDiePie. I got better things to do than play games. Side note, I've just about finished playing Fallout 4. I've played all the DLCs. There's nothing else I can do. I'm level 1 million, and there's no more content. I've explored the whole map. And then I thought, okay, try a new game. So I installed Elden Ring. Probably played about 2 hours of it. Got beaten up 1 billion times by that knight on the horse. Then souped up my character for a couple of weeks. Went back, still got beaten up by that knight on the horse. Seems the only way you can win these sort of Dark Souls style games is to continually roll around on the floor not getting hit. Because one hit and you're gone. So I don't like Elden Ring. I think I want to find another Fallout 4. Maybe Fallout 5. But playing GameGuru Classic and Max games, that could be a thing. Maybe we include it as part of our live broadcasts. The thing is, we're going to have to wait until some games, certainly on Max, are actually finished and released. And I think many people will agree. Lee, fix all the bugs first, and then I'll release my game. I'm not releasing my game with bugs in it, thank you very much, and I don't blame you. Okay, Loretta, hi, welcome to the party. It's nearly finished. there's about 15 minutes left. But looks like there's more questions. I was fearing this live extended Q&A would last 10 minutes. That fear was unfounded. Moving on. Oh, Damon, welcome. Will enemies be able to fire projectiles at the player anytime soon, like firing particles or grenades? Yeah, like a character that can shoot a rocket launcher. Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think if we don't have that feature, do we? I mean, I can fire things, rockets, and throw grenades. I don't think our characters can they? The animations are there for it. Why can't they throw grenades? Okay, that's a great question. I know there's a lot to a games engine. It's okay for me to forget a few things. Can you create an issues report on the GitHub issues board along these lines? So a feature request. I want characters to be able to throw a grenade. That will be the easiest first step because we have the animation, we have the grenade projectile, we have all the physics for the player to throw the grenade. So it's just a case of getting the characters to do it. Having said that, someone's going to chat and say, Lee, it's already in there. You don't need to add that feature, it's already there. But it may not be. And if it isn't, it needs to be in the issues board. Whoop, zoomed ahead there. Added the question mark. Yeah, that's fine. It's okay to put the question mark in after the actual question. No day in that progression system still. No, you can set... let me think about this. You can set the time of day. Was there a behaviour? Let me just check. I'm going to check my behaviours. Because I don't write a lot of behaviours these days. Necrin59 writes them all. He does a very good job too. There you go. Yeah. Day-night progression. Dink dink. There you go. Easy. That was the easiest question to answer in the world. There it is. Day-night progression. All ready for you to use. You're welcome. You can thank Necrin59 for that little beaut. Beauty. Oh, Loretta. Missed you. I have to ask, are there any updates to VR coming? There are no plans to add any more to VR, but there will be plans to fix any issues with VR. And there are still a few issues floating around. For anyone who's saying, VR? Where's VR in GameGuru Max? We hid it. When we first talked about VR, everyone expected to recreate Half-Life Alyx. And we thought, oh, made a mistake there. There is no way anyone's going to be able to recreate Half-Life Alyx in like an hour. So what we did, we moved it to the developer section. So if you go into settings, a developer tab, you'll see down here, we've got enable virtual reality support. I'll read it out for you. VR support, ensure you have correctly configured your OpenXR runtime, as OpenXR needs to know which VR device you're using. If you're used to VR, you'll know what that means. Enable virtual reality support, take. And if you'll notice in the toolbar, you've now got test level in VR developer mode feature. The reason it's been done like that is it's a basic VR feature. I always like the idea that I can make a GameGuru Max game and then put my headset on and stand inside the level and look around. Open doors, collect keys, fire weapons, things like that. And that's all really the VR support is intended for GameGuru Max. It's okay, it's fun, but you can't go out and say, this is the next best thing in VR. It isn't. It's basic VR. That lets you do with a VR and a controller what you'd normally do with a keyboard and a mouse in GameGuru Max right now. So sorry about that. I know there's a lot we could have done with VR, but we still have to fix all the bugs. and make sure that you can release a solid game that's fast and compatible and isn't going to upset your users when they pay good cash money for your finished game. Joel Monig, sorry, I'm losing my voice, time for drinking milk. Marino, have you considered creating a DLC for each biome? Aztec for jungle, cowboy for desert, medieval fantasy for forest. If not, perhaps an idea. If anyone's been keeping an eye out on our announcements, certainly on our Steam page, you'll find that all of the DLCs now are created by third-party artists. That's something a lot of, say, newbies who come in straight out of Steam, see all the DLCs and thinks this is a cash grab operation. It is, but the cash is all going to the third-party artists. It's the third-party artists who want the cash. And so if we, we might have ideas for DLCs, but we just have to sit back and wait for third parties to want to do those ideas. And artists tend to go with the flow in terms of their creativity. So if they feel like doing XYZ, that's what they create, and that's the DLC you end up with. But of course, if you can find a 3D artist who is willing, you can certainly collaborate and then maybe send it to TGC. We're always interested in third-party content to make into a DLC. We're happy to sell it for you. Yeah, and it's a good idea, tying biomes to a DLC. So you can set your biome in the terrain generator and then have a whole set of DLC that complements that particular biome. Nice. Okay, second question. Are there any plans for updates to the building editor? Only bug fixes and a few tweaks. There's some black screen issues, there's some export crash issue, I think, and a few bits and bobs that kind of slipped the net when we first released it. We also have a few little ideas on how we can make the building editor a little easier to use, but only little tweaks. But as you see, the building editor it is today, it's pretty much all you're going to get for the foreseeable. So you'll find it on the edit menu, building editor. Here we go. It's been such a long time since I've been in here. I've actually forgotten how to make buildings. But yeah, I think you can actually go up a story and then you can pick a room. Is it edit, move, create? Oh, I know how you use it now, yeah. So that's your second story, first floor, I mean, second floor, etc. Yeah. In fact, one of the ideas was, and this really is a feature request, so it probably exists on the GitHub issues board, I don't know, is you see how remarkable this looks to the old segment editor in FPS Creator? Kind of is, really, the way it just constructs buildings out of floors, walls, and chooses to add ceilings. But it had like a magic mode where all you did was just paint, and it would just add the corridors and walls and stuff as you was painting, instead of having to, oh, I need this here and I need that there and I need to edit this there and everywhere. You basically just painted your rooms and corridors and you was done in like a couple of seconds, and then you can export it all. So maybe that's a little pet project for a feature ad for the building editor, but it won't go much further than this. This is pretty much where it is. The next big project, which is sort of 50% through, is, look, you've only got 6 doors to choose from, 6 windows and 4, not even 4 staircases, because 2 are pretty much nearly identical. One of the projects I was thinking about is having a DLC which adds like 50 doors, 50 windows and 50 staircases to give you a proper selection to make more interesting buildings with. So not necessarily additions to the functionality of the building editor, but you can make more kinds of buildings with the building editor, if that makes sense. Okay, moving on. I'm just checking the time. We're 55 minutes in, but as I warned, this is an extended Q&A, which means I'd like to have hit an hour, but hour is sort of a minimum if there was something to talk about. But we're going to keep answering questions now. Maybe it'll make up for the fact you've not been able to ask a question in a couple of months. Many months, I will go as far as to say. I've missed these streams. Yeah, they're good, aren't they? Okay, yeah, you don't want to fight the Gold Knight on horse yet. Wait until you are way further into the game. Oh, that makes more sense. Yeah, so I've knocked out a few of the bosses, but because that was the first one, I figured that was the easiest one. So it sounds like I've got to go into the game more, do a lot over there, then come back and beat the hell out of him. That makes sense. Poll count, 28 people now. Okay, that's a lot better than 4, isn't it? Okay, welcome Ray, and welcome to Broad Regress 11000. What is the current state of Script Guru? I've never heard of Script Guru. If I promise to develop something called Script Guru, I have subsequently completely forgotten about it. But if it's a third-party endeavour or a community effort, it's news to me, but I'd like to learn more. Sounds cool, Script Guru. Okay, question from Synchro62. Welcome, Synchro. VR would be fine if what we have worked. I agree. It just needs TLC, very sluggish, NPCs moving slow motion, not need anything spectacular, just running nice would be great. Funny you should say that about smoothness. One of the other things about VR a lot of people don't really appreciate is you got to render the whole damn thing twice. Right? One for the left eye, one for the right eye. That halves. Whatever performance you thought your game had, you just halved it. In fact, I'll just close that down. And I get my GameGuru back. Thank you very much. So this is something else I want to show you. I don't think I'll be able to remember my project, so I'll just create a new one. We added this for the March Fixes update, and I thought I'd demonstrate it here because it is really cool. People have been pushing me for this. One particular community member pushing me more than others, and he finally got his wish. This is an empty terrain. Not really a terrain generator, it's an empty generator. But it was never really empty. It's still, that checkered floor there, that's still terrain that you can paint on. It's not empty. There's water under there somewhere, that ain't empty. So now, you can do that. Completely empty. Even gets rid of the terrain and the water. Now you click that, even gets rid of the nav mesh. So the nav mesh is gone. Great if you want to do like a simulator, it's just a player exploring and doing things, and you don't need any characters or rabbits running around. Those two things completely shrink what the engine has to do, what the engine has to render every frame. If you want to do a VR game, see if you can do it with those two ticked on. Your performance goes whoop right through. Rendering a left eye and right eye is not a problem at this point. So if you're interested in having a go at doing some fast VR, start with this. I'll certainly be starting with that. Also use, just go ahead and create some stuff. Really a name. Also low poly. Right? So low poly is great for VR. Why? Because it doesn't take a lot of time to render it. There you go. Do VR now, you won't appreciate it. There you go. So that, it'll be super fast. Just switch off VSync. So yeah, it's taking 1 millisecond on the CPU because it's not doing anything. And on my aging, crackly AMD that I got off eBay to find a bug, 3 milliseconds. And I dare say I can trim that down some more as well. So that would be a good place to start if you want to be interested in VR. But going back to the chat, yeah, aside from all that piece of advice, there are some bugs, there are some issues, there are some glitchy bits. Those are all bugs in my book. They're all going to get fixed. Once they're all fixed, you can then make nice, fast, low poly VR games using the basic VR features of GameGuru Max. That's our least. That's our minimum target. Okay, yeah, a little bit of TLC, but no real big feature additions or substantial functionality additions. Okay, Tom, welcome Tom, asks, is there any way to adjust how XP works? Like, can we adjust how much XP is needed per level? Can we adjust how much XP is awarded per mob or XP explored ECC? It seems limited at the moment. Yes, it's limited if you're looking at GameGuru Max as a sort of out-of-the-box project. So, from context, right? Let's say we're doing a low poly, no terrain, RPG game, right? So we'll save this. So we can come back to it. Go to your storyboard, and what you need to do is select this one, add RPG screens, bang. So what this is, it adds all of the screens you might need for your typical RPG game. And it includes this one, which is your player progress view, where you can see the level that you're on, your experience points, that when it reaches 100, you go to level 2, and then you build. And the question is, can we adjust how many XP to get to level 2 and level 3 and level 4? Can we adjust all the other bits? Can we add bits to that? All of this is customizable. This is a generic HUD screen editor. You can drag in all of these controls. You can move them around. In the background, all of this that's going on, it's all Lua. It's all Lua script. You can go into the Lua script and then edit it any way you want. If you don't like how the XP logic works, change the Lua script so it does different things. All we've done is provided what I would call a template. It's just a starting point, so you don't have to write it completely from scratch. Great thing about a template is out of the box it works. And then as you change it and then it stops working, you think, oh, I won't do that again. And you backtrack and you keep changing it. Eventually you learn the system from within. Once you know the system sufficiently, then you can make it your own, customize it just the way you want. It's not hard coded, it's all sitting in Lua script waiting for you to play with. I'm not saying it's easy. I mean, you're going to have to get into some scripting now, but it's all powerful. You can do as little or as much as you want with it. And if there's something that's like, I need a new command or I need a new way to do this and that, that's the bit I'm interested in, because then we can enable that. So rather than hard code anything in the future, we just give you the tools and the commands and the access so you can do the things that you want for your particular game. So we've learned our lessons from the past. Very little hard coding. It's all in Lua script. Even the game loop and all the stuff that goes on when the player's running around, it's all in a Lua script now. There's global.lua, look at gameloop.lua, something called, I think it's called game control player.lua. Look under the G's, you'll find them. Another question from Darth Cat. Welcome, Darth Cat. Are you ever going to give live control over projectiles? By that I assume you mean got a rocket launcher, fire the rocket starts on its journey, then you can have a script that grabs that rocket and then just moves it around them wherever you want it to. I think you could do that now. I don't think there's any reason why you couldn't do that just by having a script that just detects when the player fires. It doesn't fire anything, but then you can create or clone a rocket, and then that rocket's just an object you can control under a script and do whatever you like with it. So you could do that now, but sort of out of the box, no. There are no plans to have live control over projectiles without you having to get your hands a little bit dirty with Lua scripting. Welcome, Jade Bird Max. Don't worry, I'm not going anywhere yet. I'm going to see through these questions. A lot of questions have been building up over the last couple of months, and I'm happy to answer them. And it was a bit of a surprise. I was just seeing how many people initially had the faith that the last 2 monthly videos made you lose all faith in GameGuru Max. Anyone who shows up today and the initial 4 who showed up exactly at 7 PM had the faith. So welcome everyone. Okay, best to do VR low poly? No? Yes. I would always start VR with low poly. It just gives you a benchmark for what minimum stuff you can get away with on your hardware setup. And then when you start sharing it with others to test where you are in terms of performance, if there's something glaringly badly wrong with the game's engine, then let us know and we can sort it at that end. We have pretty much, I think we have most of the VR headsets, and not a very powerful PC as well, and a couple of laptops that can run VR as well. So we're really at the low end to be able to test this stuff. Right now there's enough bugs that we're not at that stage yet. We want to get the basic TLC sorted out as mentioned previous. Diamond asks, If we have a level that is using the checkered floor at the moment, can we change the level to empty if the level has already been started? Good question. Not now. It can only be done at the origination stage for terrain generation. But those two ticky boxes, I made sure that they were simply flags and not some sort of data preparation. So technically it is possible to add those ticky boxes further down the pipeline, i.e. in individual levels that have already been created. I can see the power there. Make an issue, send me it at lee@thegamecreators.com. It's a 5-minute job and I'm sure you'll find it very useful. Okay, yep, so Paul's responding to a previous question. A question from Kamoska. Hello. Can you tell me if the 3060 graphics card and the i3 FPS processor will be normal? Well, if it exists, it's normal. A 360 is not bad. GameGuru Max is okay with a 360. That exceeds the minimum spec for GameGuru Max. I'm not sure what a 12100F is, but the i3, if that's the Intel i3 core, might be a little slow. You might want to check your CPU benchmarks. It's not that you can't use GameGuru Max with that, just don't get a lot of busy stuff going on in the level. It might start to be slowing down on you. Okay, Spy6 Gargan. I am new to GameGuru and I can't figure out where to put my Lua scripts at. There's a massive guide on Steam. If you go into, if you just type out GameGuru, GameGuru Steam Lua guide, it'll take you to the original Lua guide. It's huge. You want to read through that. That'll give you sort of a starter course. After that, and probably more to your question, where exactly and what do I do, join the Discord channel, you'll get some really basic information on how to get started. And it really is easy to get started. I was trying to test a bug. Apparently someone said set sky 2 didn't work. Wrote a little script called sky.lua, dropped it in, worked first time. It can be easier. I'd like it to be easier, but that's definitely not a bug thing, so it's going to have to happen in the future. But it was relatively quick for me to create a script, attach it to a zone inside a level, and have it operate. So it's not too difficult once you get the hang of it. I have to scroll up again. It's going nuts. This chat has now got many people in it, which is great. Okay. I'm sorry I was late. No, everyone else here has been late. You're in the majority there. Everyone's late. I'm the only one who was early. I was 5 minutes early. Of course I was. Thanks for the VR tips. No problem. Okay, that's an answer to a previous question. Spy6 Gargan, if you have the trial for GameGuru Max, can you actually close Steam and just get access to all of GameGuru? You can. You can have access to it for 7 days and then it disables. So yeah, you got 7 days to see if you like it or not. Some people post a negative review after 25 minutes. So 7 days should give you plenty of time to get to grips. See if it's something that you'd like to use. Lee, we don't have a rocket in GameGuru Max. That is confirmed, people. We don't even have a rocket launcher in GameGuru Max. Oh, the crime. Blood Moon asks, you mentioned once you might try to make it easier to compile the repo. Do you still plan to do so? Yes. Recently, and may explain, why I'm not fixing bugs at a rate, say I was fixing 2 years ago, is I've been looking at AI a lot. Not just AI, and oh, this is wonderful, it's going to change the world. Practical applications of current AI technology. Not that I even need AI for the answer to this question, but it's kind of going to be part of the whole process. Wouldn't it be nice if someone could commit a change to the repository that is then scanned? Obviously, it's going to have the continuous integration, continuous deployment element GitHub Actions already lets you do that, but an AI that can assess how good that update or whether that update should go out. So effectively, someone a contributor could post on the source code, upload it, push it onto a version of the repo, then it pops up on Steam as a build, and then you can instantly play it. Not just you, but anyone who's interested in what you've just committed to the repo. And it's a no-brainer to also conclude I get to use it as well. So no longer do I have to keep doing compiles. All I got to do is reproduce a bug locally, make the code change, make sure the fix works, push that up as a commit, boom, and then that's it. I'm done. Then it's just automatically handled and uploaded to Steam. The build is available. People can test and play it. And then when it's time to do an update, one of our quarterly updates, it's just assigning that build to become live. And that's it. What a wonderful world that would be if we could make it so. So yeah, I am looking at that. I don't have all the answers though. That's why it's not happened yet. I'm still doing research. J Birdmax asks, what is the mod for the original GameGuru? What is that mod for the original GameGuru? Was there a mod for GameGuru Classic? There probably is. It's been out since 2015. That's 10 years ago. I know there's a mod for FPS Creator called Black Ice Mod. That was really awesome. That really took it to a whole new level. But I'm not sure about any mods for Classic, GameGuru Classic. I dare say there is somewhere. Okay, I have to scroll back. Scroll back. Stop scrolling back. Okay. Looking for a question mark. Alright, you meant FPS Creator. Black Ice Mod. Just tap that out on Google, you'll get it straight away. Whether it's still available? After 7 days, it doesn't close. Oh, that's a bug. It stays with full access. Well, you lucky boy or girl. Or identity-specific individual. After 7 days, it doesn't close. It should do. It should say, now go and get the full version. If you could send me a... I suppose you can't even send me a screenshot. Could you zip up all of the not folder files in the GameGuru Max root folder? Everything that's in there. Not the folders, just the files that GameGuru .exe is in. But you don't have to zip up the exe, just all of the bit files. Zip that up and send it to me at lee@thegamecreators.com. I shall do some investigating. But if you can manage to get the free version of GameGuru Max for a bit longer, then good luck to you. Okay, Tom, do you still have the intention to improve the built-in behavior editor? I'm sure I remember a long time ago was your first planned list. There are no plans to improve the built-in behavior editor for GameGuru Max version 1. Priority will remain on bug fixing until everyone can develop, test and release their games with relatively zero bugs, good stability, good compatibility and good performance. That will remain the priority. And I have to stick to that because that's the important thing. That's the top 3 priorities still for GameGuru Max. Having said that, and recently I have been using the behavior editor to make some fixes to the soldiers and the zombies, and I hate it. It was a programmer inspired UI. It was only meant for programmers to use. And I'm a programmer and I still hate it. There's so much potential with that. I mean, everything in there is what I want. To be able to create logic out of blocks and lots of conditions and lots of actions and lots of control of flow. It's all in there, but the presentation, you're trying to run a script and you can debug it, you can see the yellow highlights and you're following the logic through, then it's bouncing backwards and forwards, just scrolling up and down, left and right. Yuck. Yucky yuck. So once all of the bugs are gone, just as a pet project, I just want to look at that behavior editor again. And not like a whole big thing, just is there any, a couple of weeks of improvements where it just makes it usable. Usable would be good. And then down the road, I want to play around with other kinds of I mean, you may or may not have seen a lot of AI that's going on, and you've got things like Copilot and what's the other one? Yeah, I can't think of it off the top of my head. It's the Sonnet thing, where basically it can write code, test itself, iterate, test itself, and then deliver final code, all based on a natural language suggestion. It's quite impressive. And I thought, would it be great if we could do that, but with logic blocks? Because not everyone really wants to read through lots of code. But at the level that we want logic, which is basically, you know, controlling characters and objects and things that happen inside your game, you don't need a lot of script, just a lot of logic blocks. So in addition to obviously having a nice UI where you can see your logic from a big scope or zooming down to a particular bit, what if you had a natural language suggestion model where you could just say, I want it to do this, 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 and this, and this, and then you can see all the logic blocks just jumbling around and creating themselves on the fly. More than that, as it's creating itself already in GameGuru Max, when we've got the ability to run that live. So you can actually see the character, if this was a character logic, juttering around whilst its brain's being rewired, all from just a natural language suggestion. No one needs to know how to connect logic blocks. Let the AI do that. And then, once the AI is finished messing about with it, then you can go in and make refinements and small tweaks. That's an aside. But yes, I have been thinking about it, and I just don't want to go in and just do Behavior Editor version 2. If I'm going to spend some proper time on it, I want to do it like, see if we can go next level. Make it not just good, but great. Okay, where are we on the chat? And what I was really looking for is anywhere near the end. Getting hungry. Okay, don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. Okay, so I can check right now. Blah, 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 blah. Nomad Soul, welcome Nomad Soul. No, the live streams are not back, or at least they're not back monthly. We are having live streams in June and December, and there'll be extended ones. So what I would recommend is everyone just jot down a little jot pad all the questions, save them all up, and then we'll make a really big live Q&A with lots of good questions in there. But yeah, I guess they are back, just in a slightly different format. SDB Sene, third person control. We thought we got that question out the way. No, those questions will always be part of the GameGuru live chat. Great work, thank you very much. Oh, there you go. Yeah, the workshop, it's a Steam workshop, so you can get things from, predominantly from Necron59. He has a lot of workshop items floating around. Still in the process of testing it before we open it up so anyone can share stuff on the Steam Workshop system, and then discoverable through GameGuru Max by everybody else. Nice little feature, but we're still kind of testing it with just a very, it's such an inner circle, there's only one person in the circle. that's early testing really. Okay, stability performance have improved considerably over the years, no worries, and it's a large part thanks to Preben. He's really good at optimizing, finding those really difficult to find bugs, fixing them and making them faster in the process. So all praise to Preben for that one. Looking for a question mark. If you come back next month, it will be monthly. I'm not coming back next month, Retro 6502 Chip. I'm coming back in June, which is not April, May, June, so 3 months time. So tri-monthly, is that what we're calling it? No, it's bi-yearly. That's how we're planning it for 2025, 2026 onwards. J-Bear Max, we've missed these hangouts. Yeah, I know. They've been good. They've been good to us, people. Okay, Blood Moon question. Speaking of physically or psychically, can these be improved as part of bug fixes? I do have a bug report for a physics-based issue. If it's a bug, it's going to get fixed. If it's an out-and-out addition, new functionality, new ways physics can do things, it has to go on the feature request list. You got to see that list too. It's massive. I think it's like 1,000 feature requests. People like the potential of GameGuru Max more than the actual GameGuru Max. Any news for us for use in Linux today? There are no plans to do a Linux version of GameGuru Max. GameGuru Max will only run on Windows 10 or above, and we have no plans to cross-platform it. It's a very complicated piece of software. We just about managed to keep our heads above water doing the Windows version. Yeah, so Paul Walker reiterates. Yeah, that's the end of the chat. Just got 4 more things. Woke up late. Jeff Bang, and and that's it. Unless I've not scrolled down enough, that is the end of the live chat. We have now been talking. I have been talking for 1 hour and 21 minutes. I'm trying to think of the longest presentation I ever did. I think it was probably over 2 hours. Yeah. And the audience was getting a bit fatigued at that point. I don't think they expected to be trapped in a room with me for that amount of time. But it was their own fault. They saw my name on the door. They should not have come in. And other questions have come in from J Burmax. Any chance of updating the engine? I'm going to paraphrase that question. Any chance of updating the Wicked graphics engine? There are no plans to upgrade the Wicked graphics engine to the latest DX12 Vulkan version. We are kind of glued to and stuck with the old Wicked engine DirectX 11, which is what GameGuru Max is entirely using. You can almost predict that at some point in the near future or far future, DX11 will be entirely discontinued and GameGuru Max will cease to function on modern operating systems. I'm afraid that's really just the case of software built a decade or so earlier. That's why we don't see that many horse and carts on the road. There's always the line you have to draw. Maybe there's going to be an update to DX12, but I'm not even going to go there yet. I'm still focused on bug fixing, stability, compatibility and performance. And there's enough work there to keep everyone on the team busy for a long, long time. Retro6502, what are the plans beyond GameGuru Max? Great question. More GameGuru Max. Yeah, usually, and we have been accused of this more than once, that TGC in the past has had a tendency of thinking they finished one game maker, they start work on another. Just to give you an idea of chronology, Dirt Basic begot 3D Game Maker, that begot Dirt Basic Pro, that begot FPS Creator, that begot FPS Creator Reloaded. I think there was a side shoot of AGK, and then AGK version 2 that became AGK Classic, that then begat AGK Studio. Meanwhile, AGK Classic begat AGK GameGuru Classic begat GameGuru Max, which brings us up to present day Game Maker. The only extant products still on sale are GameGuru Classic, GameGuru Max and App GameKit Studio. All of those products will be receiving quarterly updates, as mentioned at the top of the hour, of the last hour, in the intro. In terms of future plans, those quarterly updates continue to make sure that they keep up to date with the changes in APIs and operating systems as far as we can with the product, and make sure that as bugs come in, we fix them and get builds out that make it easier for people to sell their game without it crashing every 5 minutes. So that's the future. Beyond that, who knows? Who knows? I can only say from the back end, and as I've already mentioned, I am looking at AI and automation to sort of help on this journey. I mean, we could still do it the old school way of sitting down and writing lines of code, but I think certainly in the next 5 years, that paradigm will be completely different. Coders won't be that kind of traditional coder. They will be a cross between experts in the field and prompt engineers. Something like that, using natural language more than syntax. But who knows? But it's always good to keep your keep in the know, making sure that you know what's going on in the world, and make sure that if there's something that's cool that you can adapt to something that serves you or your community, then go for it. And that's what I'm looking at right now. Is there anything that we can do with those new technologies that helps further what we're doing with GameGuru Classic, Max and App Game Kit Studio? Hopefully that answers what's happening in the future, but what you're not going to hear is a whole new Game Maker project. I think those days are gone for the history and pantheon of TGC. So you have the full lineup now of all the TGC game makers that will ever be made under the TGC auspices. Oh, there's most the chat's just filled. I got another page of chat. Seriously, you guys and gals want to stay here another hour? Right, let me just scroll up. Okay, so we got that far. Run well on Linux, GameGuru Max with Proton GE, which I presume is a virtual machine. VMs have come along really well, I think, over the last 5 years. I don't think there's any reason why you couldn't run GameGuru Max on any platform with a decent VM. But officially we would never support those platforms. It is a big headache to keep up to date with all the different changes to all those operating systems. As I said, Windows keeps us busy enough. Oh, sorry, yeah, FPS Creator X10 was was a product we developed in cooperation with Microsoft and Nvidia to support the new Windows Vista. Everyone remember Windows Vista? The shortest-lived operating system ever, and to accompany it, the shortest-lived product ever, FPS Creator X10. Doesn't look too impressive by GameGuru Max standards, but was fun. I was flown to Paris where I could show it to the developer community. That was fun. Saw the Eiffel Tower. Or after about 5 Guinnesses, I saw 2 Eiffel Towers. Okay, FPS Creator X10 and FPS Creator Reloaded, I think. Reloaded came after X10, actually. We went FPS Creator X10, then went back to FPS Creator, worked on that for a bit, big pause, and then FPS Creator Reloaded. And it's Reloaded that became GameGuru Classic. You keeping up? That's the history. And, whilst I remember, if you really want a proper narrative of TGC's history, there's a documentary, an actual professionally produced documentary that was made about TGC and the community. It's over an hour long. It was produced by Scott Tanner, and it's awesome. It feels proper History Channel material. So I don't have a link, but I'm sure someone here can post a link, or you can dig it out by Googling it. It's a good watch. If you haven't watched it, you totally have to watch it. It will give you a proper chronology of everything TGC did in the world of game making. Okay, down to the bottom of the chat and the last 3 items. I remember Vista as a system buggy with many crash. Yeah, that's why nobody used it. And as soon as that, what was the next thing that came along? Was it Windows 7 or 8? Oh, I don't know. It was one of those things where everyone, the group, forgot it. It's like bad memories, bad dreams. First Data Basic, old school. Yeah, Data Basic was the beans. Okay, I think we'll stop it at an hour and a half. This is the longest live broadcast ever, by the way, people. So well done, everyone, for all your amazing questions. I hope the answers were of some use. This, as I said in the intro, will be the last of the monthly cadence releases. But I think it's clear that everyone likes these live broadcasts, and so we're resurrecting them. So we're doing one in June this year and one in December to the end of the year. And then if you like those, we'll do it again in 2026. In the meantime, we ain't going anywhere. We're on the issues board on GitHub. We're fixing bugs. If you find any, please post them in as much detail as you can so we can reproduce and fix them quickly. Lots of things going on in the camp of third-party artists and assets and endeavours. Amazing community contributors who've sprung up like mushrooms or large oak trees, as I like to think, who are making GameGuru Max better every day. So I thank you for your time. Sorry for springing this on everyone, but it will make a great video on YouTube, and anyone who missed it, they didn't really miss it. They can watch it later, and it's there for prosperity. So thanks for your time. I will be back in a couple of months, June. I don't know when, but we'll announce it on all the socials. So if you're on a Facebook or on Discord, you get plenty of warning. So you can get ready and show up on the hour, ready with your questions. So until June, whenever in June that is, I shall say goodbye. Thank you for your kind attention, and have a great evening or morning or day. Okay, goodbye. Watch out for more cool GameGuru Max videos on our channel, and keep an eye out for the announcements of our live broadcast in June and December. Until then, stay creative and happy game making.